Today we're gonna be making keto pumpkin pie. With Thanksgiving right around the corner, I thought this will be a great idea to make a pumpkin pie. Because let's be real, whenever I think about Thanksgiving, I think about pumpkin pie. For this recipe, we're gonna start by making our crust and then our filling. So without further ado, let's jump into the ingredients. The ingredients for our pie crust are 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, 1 teaspoon of ground ginger, half teaspoon of nutmeg, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 2 eggs, 1 cup of coconut flour, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, half cup of cold butter cut into cubes, 1/4 cup of sweetener, I'm gonna be using erythritol, and 1 tablespoon of olive oil. The first thing we're gonna do is to preheat our oven at 400 degrees Fahrenheit. While our oven is preheating, I'm gonna be making my pumpkin spice mix. For that, we're gonna need our spices, and in the small bowl, I'm gonna mix them all together. Cinnamon, ginger, and nutmeg. Mix them all together. And just like this, we have our pumpkin spice mix. If you already have a pre-made pumpkin spice mix, you can skip this step, but if you don't, this is how we make it. In a separate bowl, we're gonna mix all our dry ingredients. Coconut flour, erythritol, baking powder, 1 teaspoon of our pumpkin spice mix, and salt. Mix your dry ingredients all together. To mix my ingredients for the pie crust, I'm gonna be using my food processor today, but if you don't have a food processor, it's completely okay. You can just mix it by hand. So I'm gonna start by mixing my wet ingredients, so my eggs, vanilla, and olive oil into my food processor. Eggs, vanilla, and olive oil. And now we're gonna mix our wet ingredients. Once our egg and all our wet ingredients are well combined, we're gonna add our dry ingredients. And we're gonna mix until it starts getting crumbly. Once you reach this type of crumbly consistency, we're gonna add our butter. But before we do that with a spatula, we're gonna remove everything from the sides to make sure everything gets mixed. I have my half cup of cold butter already cut into cubes in here. Half a cup, it's also around 113 grams, just in case you don't want to measure it with a cup. And now I'm gonna dump it into my food processor to mix it all together. And mix it on high. As the food processor blends our ingredients, you're gonna see the dough starting to form. Our pie crust ingredients are all combined, and now I'm just gonna transfer it into a bowl in order to put it into my pie tray. Once the dough is in our bowl, we're just gonna form kind of like a ball. That's good. The next step will be to grease our pie dish. I'm just gonna be using some butter spray. Once our dish is all greased, we're gonna transfer our dough into it in the middle. And with our hands, we're gonna mold it into the dish. With this part of your hand, just push it backwards so it expands better. And make sure that your dough goes all the way to the top of the dish. So your pie crust should look something like this, again with our edges all the way to the top, and with a fork we're gonna poke the bottom of our crust. Just like that. Now, the next step, and this is really important and totally recommend you guys to do this, we're gonna place aluminum foil all around the edges of our crust because we don't want them to get burned. So I'm just gonna grab some aluminum foil like this, and then we're gonna fold it in half and one more time in half. Once it's folded like this, we're gonna place it around our edge of our dish. We're gonna repeat the same process to cover the other half of our pie. And your pie crust should look something like this. Now we're gonna pop it into the oven for 10 minutes. While our pie crust is baking, we're gonna make the filling for our pie. The ingredients for our pumpkin pie filling are 2 cups of pure pumpkin puree, and just when you're buying this, make sure it's not the pumpkin pie mix. You want the pure pumpkin puree. 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 1 teaspoon of maple extract, 2 teaspoons of the pumpkin pie mix we previously made, half a cup of heavy whipping cream, and half a cup of erythritol. Our pie crust is ready, so I'm gonna take it out of the oven. Once we take our crust out of the oven, we're gonna turn down our oven to 350 degrees. This will be the temperature we will be baking our pie. We're gonna start by pouring all our ingredients into a bowl. Erythritol, pumpkin spice mix, pumpkin puree, heavy whipping cream, vanilla, maple extract, and lastly our eggs. And with my mixer, I'm gonna mix all my ingredients together. Once our filling mix is so combined, we're gonna pour it into our pie crust. We're gonna remove our tinfoil from our pie crust and set it aside because we're gonna be putting it back on. And now, all you gotta do is pour your filling into your pie crust. Let me just show you something really quick, guys. This little piece of our pie crust wasn't covered with the tin foil, and as you can see, it started burning. So this is why it's really important that you cover your edges of the pie with the tin foil so they don't get all burned. So put your tin foil back on. Now that it's covered, we're gonna pop it into the oven for 40 to 50 minutes on 350. So 45 minutes have passed, and now I'm gonna check on my pie. Looking at my pie, I can already tell that it's still missing more time in the oven because there are no cracks in the middle, and we're aiming for the cracks in the middle. So we're gonna pop it back in the oven. So it's been a total of 1 hour since we baked our pie, and now as you can see, there are some cracks around our pie, which means it is ready. Now we're gonna set it aside and let it cool for around 30 minutes, and after that we're gonna refrigerate it for a couple hours. So my pumpkin pie has cooled down and it's been in the fridge for a couple hours. Now we're gonna cut it out and try it. And just look at the layer, guys. You can see the crust and the filling. That's perfection. And this is completely optional, but I'm gonna top it off with some whipping cream. Okay, so let's try it out. I'm gonna grab a little bit of whipping cream, pie. Tastes just like Thanksgiving. It's delicious. So I hope you guys liked the recipe and the video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe down below, turn on the bell notification button, and leave me a comment. If you also want to follow me on my keto journey, I will be linking my social media down below. Thank you guys for watching, and see you guys on the next video.